The South African Human Rights Commission has joined the growing number of South Africans who are concerned about the country's worsening quality of drinking water. The latest Blue Drop report revealed that a staggering 46% of drinking water is unsafe for consumption. The commission has described the decline in the drinking water quality as a crisis. For more on this, we're joined by the Commission for Reaction. I'm joined by Philile and Ntuli, who is with the South African Human Rights Commission. Philile, thank you for making time for us. What do you think these reports tell us about the state of water and sanitation services in the country?
Good afternoon, Clement, and thank you very much for inviting us. Perhaps let us start by correcting a misconception which is prevailing in society. And this is that the department has only released one report, being the report on the quality of drinking water. However, in order for us to truly appreciate what the department is presenting to the nation, we need to understand that there are three distinct, interrelated reports that have been presented to the nation. The first is the Newzroom report, and that assesses water conservation, water demand management, issue of water leaks and so forth, the extent of water leaks and how that affects the availability of water. That is the first report. The second is the report, which is the Green Drop report, and that assesses wastewater treatment, wastewater treatment plants. And that then is the second report. And the third report is then the Blue Drop report, which you are referring to, that assesses the quality of the drinking water that we receive on our taps or on water tanker systems. Now, when we look at all three as opposed to one, we are better able to appreciate the extent of the decline, but also then the concern that not only the South African Human Rights Commission has, but the rest of the nation has with regards to the quality of our water, but also the management of the water resources that we have in the country.
So the picture that was painted is that of a state of decline in drinking water quality, which actually supports your own previous conclusion as the Commission. Has anything tangible been done by government following the release of your own reports?
Yes, Clement. The government must be commended for the work that it has tried to do, particularly the National Department of Water and Sanitation. The Minister, his deputies and staff have done quite a lot of work since assumption in office to address these challenges. The very fact that we are able to be presented with this report is also a further demonstration of the efforts of the department. You will remember that prior to this term, the Blue Drop, Green Drop, as well as the Newzroom reports were not being issued by the department. So that is the first point for us to be able to commend the department. But in addition to that, the department has also been very welcoming and taken steps in addressing some of the issues and recommendations of the South African Human Rights Commission. For example, in 2021, the Commission recommended the establishment of an agency to be responsible for funding, resourcing, advising, and managing infrastructure in the country. And as late as August 2023, the Minister introduced the Draft National Water Resources Infrastructure Agency Water Bill. We see this as a huge step in advancing democracy and ensuring accountability across the water resource network. However, Clement, this is not enough. Part of the problem lays in the failing local government institutions. And as we look at the creeping crisis in terms of water resource management, we have to be able to appreciate it against the institutions that are vested with the power of management, and these are water services authorities, mainly district and local municipalities. And therefore, when we consider this, we must consider it against, for example, the State of Local Government report, which is issued annually by the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. And according to that latest report, 66 out of our 257 municipalities are in a state of dysfunction. Now, when you want to fix the water problem, you must have a view of some of these issues also at the institutions that are responsible, because you won't be able to fix water if you have corruption, poor financial management, weak institutional capacity, poor governance, for example.
So ultimately,
yes,
the water poses a serious health risk to the households in the affected areas, right? Access to water
yes.
is like, which is clean, is actually a human right in terms of the constitution and legislation. So what recourse do these communities have?
The beauty of the structure of our democracy is that it centers itself on the principle of public participation, which means that it is in principle the people and the communities that govern. They have a deciding factor of who is responsible for governing their resources, and there are various means through which they can voice their concerns when those that govern are not fulfilling their constitutional responsibilities. One, of course, would be laying a complaint with the South African Human Rights Commission, but there are various other Chapter 9 institutions with distinct mandates which members of society can approach when they feel that their rights have been violated, not just the right to water, but all of the other interrelated rights, including the public protector and including other Chapter 9s. But there's also the role of civil society as a member of this democratic nation, but there's also media. Media has a very strong and critical role to play in the discourse on accountability, because you can shine the light on some of the issues and allow us also as Chapter 9 to take the necessary measures in holding those responsible accountable.
My understanding is that municipalities have a responsibility to inform residents. In fact, that's required for them to inform residents when the water is not safe for drinking. From your observation, is that what they're doing?
One of the most damning findings that are coming out of these 3 reports issued by the department is related to this question you are asking. The most vulnerable and concerning area, of course, is the overall substandard quality of drinking water for the receiving population. However, the report found that the majority of municipalities, to the extent of 57%, do not notify water users in the event of water quality being compromised and not monitored. And this, for us, is a serious concern, because it means as much as 57% of municipalities or residents in those municipalities are drinking water of substandard quality without being aware.
And is there enough being invested in like maintaining even like the water infrastructure in these municipalities?
There are systems in place to ensure that there is proper maintenance of infrastructure. However, it is not being used adequately. For example, the National Water Master Plan suggests that plus minus 8% of the total value of infrastructure should be reserved annually for purposes of operations and maintenance. However, our research is showing that approximately 2 to 4% is being reserved for that. And in a situation like that, of course, then you compromise the infrastructure itself, but also infrastructure that has long outlived itself by date is continuing to be functioning and being used to provide water, which then compromises the water quality.
So what do you urge government to do now? Because they must adopt a proactive intervention of sorts for the maintenance also and the repair and the replacement of the wastewater systems.
For us, as the South African Human Rights Commission, our position is that the failure of water resource management institutions is directly related to the failure of local government institutions. And therefore, the primary focus should be on strengthening and capacitating water services authorities, local government institutions, addressing poor financial management, addressing corruption, addressing the political instability within local government institutions that also contributes to the failure at delivering basic services. And of course, the overall issue of skills and poor governance. If that is made the primary focus, these other issues will come into effect more fruitfully and more efficiently. And of course, the last one, Clement, being the issue of consequence management. Institutions must be seen, particularly the national government and the provincial government, must be seen to be exercising their powers as per the Constitution in ensuring that they don't only support and monitor the function of municipalities, but also are seen to be managing consequences for those who are not doing their duties.
And has there been consequence management? Because clearly some people are sleeping and failing on the job. Doesn't look like there is accountability mechanisms.
We are very inspired by the amendments that were made to the Public Audit Act in 2019, which then allows the Auditor General to issue certificates of debt to accounting officers who are responsible for example, poor financial management, wasteful expenditure. Where those cannot be explained, then the Auditor General has the power to recover those monies from the personal funds of the accounting officers. And we are seeing the certificates of debt being issued gradually since the promulgation of this act, and this is inspiring. But we also urge government, particularly the National Department of Water and Sanitation, to strengthen its resolve of showing South Africans that it is serious about consequence management at the relevant institution.
Philile and Ntuli, thank you so much for making time for us.